Welcome back to Eternal Sonata. So now that we opened the barrier that was in the noise dunes, let's go get to our final dungeon, at least for the mainline game.
You know, for a village that's apparently the town of the dead, it feels weird that, we'll never be able to come back to do side quests. Aside from, I'm guessing, it's eventually someplace in here where we get the chance to do
There
claves.
is, for some reason, near the telephone tower, in the PS3 version, they actually added one of the teleports that gets you get back to Baroque. Anyway. Well, you actually opened the seal. Nice going.
At last, the seal has come to light.
Now you can go to the noise dunes, but there'll be lots of hungry monsters there, so be careful out there.
It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Well, good luck.
Now fuck off.
Get on my lawn.
Line?
Don't forget, 4 mirrors become monsters and the flowing time collects at the bottom. Basically,
Oh, that's right. I probably should have told you that before you left.
that's
well.
that's your hint for when you actually get to the final dungeon.
So basically,
I'll
it's
explain more
literally
when we
the
get
Elder
there.
literally turning to the player and say, by the way, here's a gameplay tip.
Yes.
Whoa, it's sandy.
Yeah, it felt to be aside from the desert, the landscape, the background of the landscape, which we'll see more up close as soon as we reach the tower, is actually really interesting. I mean, when I think of a scenario of a world created in a dream where all things can possibly happen, this kind of background actually makes a bit more sense to me. Again, it's kind of fitting with the theme that the dream is almost over, so things are starting to not fall apart completely, but logic is getting thrown out the window more and more as on a scenario kind of level. I understand the thought process behind that. Anyway, what I'm about to do is to showcase how to get to one of the secret dungeons. We're not going to do that in this part, we're going to reprise that from the beginning of the next part, but I'll show. Basically, if you keep going to the right, like this, you will eventually get to here, to an oasis.
Ooh.
Unfortunately, there is a door that's been locked and we will need a key. So it's reserved for after we deal with Waltz.
Oh, so wait. Oh, so there is post-game content.
Well,
Or
yes,
rather, new
Jova.
game
Like I
plus.
told you, Jova. The optional content we can do after beating the final boss, but before getting the ending. Basically, the game gives you a small time frame because, trust me, Jova, the ending is quite long.
Wait.
It's a RPG.
That feels weird though. I mean, giving a space in between beating the final boss and then getting to the last cutscene.
It's to give you a breather, basically, also, because you get, also in this particular case, you get also a lengthy cutscene. You also, to get through the entire dungeon, you also get a lengthy cutscene with Waltz, chatting with the main party team.
I understand that. My main thing is like, well, I mean, isn't it normally it's like, well, before the final encounter, it's usually like, well, you let the hero get any business they want done right before the final encounter with the final boss. Not so much after the final boss is dealt with.
That's the thing, Jova. A couple of things happen in the ending, Jova. So, anyway,
who knows? Maybe
now
they'll
here's
pull
the
it off
thing.
uniquely.
Anyway, basically this is the last dungeon. I forgot the name. It's gonna pop up in a second anyway. Basically, like I told, there is one minor party interaction that was removed from the actual 360 version. The Laboratory Tower Sand, yeah, there you go. Where Legato mocks and his obsession with the camera despite being telling that he's a memento from his power, basically. That's why he's so attached to it. And Alligator is once again addicted to it, so they kind of removed it for the sake of not making Alligator steal too much of a dick. Again,
It's a way too late in the game for Allegretto to be showing this dickish side. So yeah, it's probably for the best they remove that scene.
yeah, exactly. What it means is, basically the major things, the core things that the PS3 version worked on were the characters of Allegretto, his interaction with Polka, and reinforcing Waltz as a villain. Anyway, let me explain. In this tower, in the upper floors of this tower, you need to fight 4 bosses, which are palette swap of previous bosses that you fought. After you deal with each one of them, Sand collects at the bottom, like the elder told, and once enough is collected, i.e. all the 4 bosses are destroyed, you get a path to get to Waltz, basically.
Neat.
This is basically the the boar that attacked Frederick and Polka in the woods.
So essentially
said,
boss rush.
Kinda, sorta, but it's not like you're not getting it one after the other. You need to get to each of them, so you can potentially go back to the base of a tower and save before tackling each one of them. Not only that, but each boss now being more of a spawn, since it's more strong, they're more durable, they're more of a sponge. So like I said, all those bosses that I had one shot thanks to the save file now get a bit more elaborated. You can see what attacks may have and all that stuff.
Wow.
Also, a good thing to mention here is to hold on. I mentioned this after this because after we beat with each boss, we get cutscenes with the party member interacting with each other. I think also these were actually added to the PS3 version.
Whoa.
Basically, the boss turns to
It turns into a
stone,
trophy
like,
from Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
Kinda, and this allows Sand to collect at the bottom of the tower. After each of these happened, a cutscene between particular members of the party happens between these 2 members and Chopin talking with each other.
So are any of these talks maybe reserved for Crescendo and Serenade?
So sadly, no.
In that last fight, you
Yeah,
weren't
I
fighting
know.
anything, were you?
Just
Not
a
gonna
waste.
even bother at this point. Unless something involving them that would have helped comes up.
Sorry.
I was thinking about Claves.
Oh my god, you're still doing this
You know,
game.
I know I'm a bit ahead of the game, but knowing that there's a way to revive Clave
You
is
are aware
kind
that
of...
Claves is dead, right?
You know, that's another thing, Pedro. Apparently there's a way to revive Claves.
Well, we
Granted,
don't know yet, keep in mind.
I know, it's just,
Don't
in
know yet.
foresight, doesn't that kind of make
Jazz,
this...
why are you saying that? You haven't done anything you need to
Okay,
apologize
to be fair,
for.
it's optional, so fair enough. This scene
Basically, this is the cutscene where Jazz and
Hey, you.
Falsetto get over.
This is all supposed
with
to
Can I have a
their-
time,
great,
please?
isn't it?
Go
Dude.
to 8 minutes.
Dude,
I gotta
put
tell you, it's a pretty
put
rotten
falsetto
dream,
and viola
especially
on a
making
jazz
Clave's die like
sandwich.
that.
Like, seriously.
It wasn't. No, I suppose.
Okay, I'm at 8-3.
Okay.
Alright.
Also, why are you blaming Frederick for this? In fact, Falsetto, weren't you one of the more...
Remember the whole
Just kidding.
thing about
Come on,
someone
this whole place
being
couldn't
someone's
possibly
dream.
fall
I know that,
Remember,
but
we're
wasn't
still
Falsetto one
having
of the
that.
more skeptical ones alongside
That's precisely
Allegretto?
what she does. That's basically this
And
is
all of us
her
here think
taunt
and
was
act
more
of
like a
our own free
mockery. Right?
Oh, I guess the way the actress portrayed it, it almost sounded like she believed
Again,
it.
let's just say that. Hold on, Shiro,
Yes.
get ready.
Mhm.
And
Because
3,
of that,
2,
Everyone
1,
Claves left behind
click.
can keep her memory alive in
I
their
remember
hearts.
Jova. 3 years after this, she will
Which is
get a
why I
better
know it
role
would
with
be
a meal.
impossible to compete with the memory of someone
Oh,
who's died.
yeah.
You're mistaken about that, Falsetto.
Oh, really?
There's no use in comparing the dead with the living. It's pointless.
What?
But you and I are still alive. And of course, it is with those who are still living that we must live our lives.
Live, live, live,
Uh-huh.
live, live.
I'm
How many
putting
times can I
everything
use
on the
live in the
line.
same
We like
sentence?
be alive.
To protect those
Take a
who are
shot
trying
every
to
time he
survive.
says live.
Living.
Which means falsetto
I
stands a
mean-
chance, apparently.
I mean, Kingdom Hearts can get away with pronouncing the same 4 or 5 words all the time, so I don't really complain.
The reason it works with Kingdom Hearts is because it's literally the theme of the entire series. Where-
Well, that's the thing, Java. For this is each of his cutscenes makes Chopin
That's your guiding
reflect
principle?
upon his condition and
Yeah.
helps him decide
There's something
what will be his
so
ultimate
serious.
decision about the nature of his world. At the end.
I'll
Also
admit,
falsetto.
That's all.
I'll admit,
Mixed signals much?
I've always had
Do
I'll
you
admit-
want to bone him or not? Do you want him to bone you or not?
I think she does, but she feels that it would be disrespecting Claves' memory, even though
So,
Claves was a
You also
traitor.
lost someone who was special to you?
Go ahead,
Anyway,
whoever was talking.
I guess to be fair, I was more so nitpicking about the living
Hold on.
thing, though. Oh,
And yet they make their own decisions and live their lives in the manner they see fit.
we should have had more scenes about this.
I suppose in that way, this dream is no different from reality.
Really makes you think. Continue, Jova.
Okay, yeah. Admittedly, I was kind of nitpicking about the living thing. It's just like, well, I know it's supposed to be a
Yes. I'll tell you
serious,
more later.
I know it's supposed to be a serious scene and whatnot. I guess it just feels a bit awkward when you literally repeat the words living, living. And I occasionally end up repeating words, but to be fair, I'm a commentator who does stuff on the fly, so there's that.
Sure, don't worry, Jova.
I will say this, though, to cap things off. It's nice that we're reflecting on Frederick and possibly, if this is his dream or whatnot. Again, it feels like there were way too large gaps between whether or not they questioned whether or not it was actually Frederick's dream or whatnot. Like, it feels like they kind of forgot about that for a good chunk of the story. To the point where only now they're bringing it up because
we're basically at the final stretch, so it's time to wrap things up.
Yeah, I guess it just feels awkward, them suddenly questioning themselves all about that. Like, I mean, I guess we can assume it's the final dungeon. But the whole thing about the story is like, well, aside from the fact that they're in what's apparently the land of the dead, it's kind of just business as usual for them. Like...
Not to mention we have children with them.
That too.
I mean, it's a JRPG, so it's not really a thing that I should be complaining about. But for the standard of this game, Beat has done and seen everything and he's a 10-year-old.
That is one thing I'll give Final Fantasy IX. It did reflect on the fact that some of the party members were literally kids who were seeing some really messed up stuff for their age.
Anyway, this palette swap is from the boss that we fought in Fort Fermata.
Right.
Anyway, what I was keen hearing, you may have noticed that the music that I use for speeding up here, it's the Revolutionary 2 remix that's used in Catherine.
Yep.
It just fits, I mean.
It does. So, let me guess. This time it's going to be Viola's time to reflect.
You'll see. I mean, eventually, aside from Crescendo and Serenade, everyone gets their chance.
It just makes me wonder why the PS3 version even bothered with Crescendo and Serenade this much.
I'm honestly thinking it was a mandate from Namco Bandai. At this point, I was.
Then they should have mandated harder, but I digress.
Hey guys, I got a question.
Yes, Viola?
Is there a bathroom here?
It's been bugging me for a while now. Why do you two have to look so depressed all the time?
They did?
Wow, this came out of nowhere.
Wait.
Excuse you?
Oh wait, okay, maybe it's because of the faulty animation, but when did they constantly look depressed? I know Polka occasionally looks sad, but constantly? Also, Viola!
Also, she's still shipping those two.
Also,
okay. You had to look happy, otherwise Allegretta won't be able to bone you.
Although I will say this, Viola. Gee, a girl with a terminal disease that can pretty much kill her? Gee, why isn't she happy, I wonder?
What in the world are you thinking about all the time that gives you such a gloomy
Is this really the right time to talk about this?
And again, like I said, Viola. Okay, Tio. Viola...
Just now I was wondering,
Again,
what will become of my existence
try to contain
within
at least for when the cutscene is going.
once the dream I'm having comes to an end.
I mean, Chopin is still reflecting on the fact that he's dying, so he's still not sure if he's gonna live through this or not.
Oh yeah, that's a thing.
You should spend more time thinking about what you're gonna do in reality, not in dreams. I mean, there's a ton of stuff
in
that
reality,
needs to get
he's
done.
dying.
Well, she still has, like the other characters, she still has doubts about that.
You may have a point there.
And if it's a dream that you really don't want to forget about, you can just write it down as soon as you wake up, right? And you're a composer,
irony.
so you could even put it to music.
Further irony.
The music of an unforgettable dream. Think about it, Frederick. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Like
All
a
right,
requiem?
so are we clear on this moping thing? Don't go trying to keep all your problems to yourselves. That's what
Wait a
friends
minute,
are
you
for.
just
Let
said
us
stop
help,
being
okay?
gloomy.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Frederick.
Viola, is it that
Just
time
a
of the
waste
month
of-
for you?
I don't think she's quite in the room, honestly.
I think
I don't think she really knows what's going on.
Which is weird because Viola, for
You're
the most
right.
part, was the
There's
more
no denying
level-headed
that the time
person,
we've
shipping
shared
aside.
together has been real.
Anyway, continue, Jova.
Okay. Again, Viola. Polka has a disease where she's pretty much doomed to die. Why do you think she would look gloomy? And like I said, maybe it's because of the faulty animation, but they didn't really look gloomy that often. But again, maybe
Also,
that's
why is she so insistent on shipping these minor?
because
I
Polka
have
and
no
Allegretto
idea.
are... act
Shippers
cute
are weird.
together. I mean, you know, at least in other stories where they're shipping, the characters
I mean,
often
when I
have
do a crack
chemistry.
ship, at least I admit that it's literally me, and I don't want to force that on the creators.
Yeah.
Also, just in general, the whole stop being sad because you're bringing the rest of us down thing, that is top tier assholery.
Not only that, but of all the places to do it, at what's supposedly the final dungeon, which is supposedly the most dangerous thing you're doing, you tell them, oh, now we have to buck up. Like, I get the whole positive attitude thing, but there's a right way and wrong way to do it. What you're doing is kind of trying to enforce people to act the way they clearly don't want to, which can
The
just
thing
make
is,
the
I don't think
situation
she's doing it
worse.
maliciously. I think she's genuinely
She's-
trying to be
yeah.
helpful. She's just
Yeah.
oblivious to her own fuck up. Really.
Exactly. I guess it's because Derp, she's a country girl. She only knows how to wrangle goats.
Again, she's acted more sensibly up till this point, so it's so out of nowhere.
Anyway,
Also, this place is pretty gloomy, so.
This palette swap is based on the boss that you fought in the cemetery level.
Oh yeah, the cemetery level, that was a mandatory mission for a stupid flower. Yes, it's a stupid flower that had to be gotten for stupid water, which is what we had to actually get from that
For a
stupid
girl that
cemetery.
we don't even see after completing the side quest, the quest, mind you, because we jump ahead to the time skip. Again, I'm pretty convinced there's an entire portion of the game that was cut away, because I
honestly
can't
have to
Why don't you
wonder.
just cut the then why don't you just cut that segment altogether?
The cemetery scene feels like what was originally supposed to be a side quest made a main quest just because they had to add on content to the main quest.
Hey, it's okay, Joe, but when we save the girl, she'll join our kingdom and oh wait, sorry, I'm thinking of it.
Doesn't even do that. And yeah, like you said, we don't even hear from Andantino ever again.
We can remember, John, we can visit their base again. I never bothered to try to talk again to the NPCs, so maybe you get something like a dialogue that tells you, oh, thank you from before.
Well, you'd think the
Or
game would be
something that is-
kind enough to, you know, show the reward for you doing a main quest, at the very least.
Kinda. I mean, yeah, basically the game just stops after you beat the boss at the cemetery, but
I
anyway.
get the
Alright,
feeling.
let's see this
Chewie,
scene.
Fury.
This next one, I think it's Allegretto and Beat.
Yeah.
Oh, really? So
Well,
that
there are
means they're
only two
saving
that stay
Salsa and
on.
March for last.
No, we're still. Salsa and March are the next ones after this one.
Oh yeah, never mind. Yeah, you're right.
No, it's Allegretto and Beat, so they're saving Salsa and March for last,
Yeah.
apparently.
We're
That's...
Well,
gonna
I
get
would say you can tackle these 4 bosses in the order when you prefer.
Oh, okay.
Hey, is something bothering you? You keep sighing.
I can't believe that.
Maybe you're a 10-year-old in the land of the fucking dead.
Oh no, it's nothing like that. It's just.
I can't get this coat hanger out of my body.
I've been kind of wondering what's gonna happen to everyone. You know, after we finally defeat Count Waltz.
It goes back to normal.
Huh?
That's the reason
Well,
they're
it-
going
well-
after him,
Count is
right?
just
Hold
gone
on.
all of a sudden. Won't that cause problems for his people? The
Oh,
captain's gonna
well,
have
what do
his
you know?
hands
Beat's
full.
actually
If on
looking
top
at the
of
bigger
Baroque, he's also
picture.
gotta take care
Why
of
is it that?
Basically,
Oh, go on.
it's posing the question that a lot of
The
RPG don't answer. What happens
Oh, are
after you
you
defeat
talking
the
about
final
Prince
boss?
Crescendo? Yeah, you're
Why
right.
is it that the little
And we'll have
kid
to
is
get
one
rid
of the
of all
few
the
people who
mineral
actually
powder out there,
thinks about
too.
these things when the actual
Even
rulers
when
of
we get
It's the
nations
classic
don't?
youth has
Won't
more
exactly be
wisdom
happily
sometimes
ever
than
after,
adults
will it?
trope.
See what I mean? We don't know what's gonna happen. It might take a real long time before
Aw.
everyone.
Well,
Just-
because I know my
just-
JRPGs.
Just leave it all to
Thinking
Lex
about all
Corp.
that made me
Oh,
sad.
Mona Marshall, she is
Well,
clearly
that's done.
trying. You
No
know,
more
it seems like
negative
ever
thinking.
since Brave
Got
Prince
it, Pete?
Musashi, there was
We
only
made a
one kind of
decision when
boy
we left
voice she could
Retardondo.
do, really.
I
We
honestly
promised we were
just
gonna get to
prefer
the bottom
working
of this
South
and fix
Park
it,
and
right?
that's it.
So that's exactly what we're gonna do.
I know
Forget,
that,
did they
Redo,
also bring her back for the
but I'm
sequel to
not
Brave Prince
sure.
Musashi?
I
No
don't know,
ifs,
I
ands,
haven't
or
tried.
buts about it. Besides, it's not like
Also,
we gotta do
Beats,
this
if
all
I know
by
my
ourselves or
JRPGs, this
something.
whole thing will just fall apart.
We're all in this
so-
together.
No, no,
And
no,
as
no,
long
no.
as we
No,
stick
Pedro,
together,
he's worried about
work
what'll
together,
happen to
it'll work out
Waltz's own
somehow.
kingdom, though.
We'll make sure
Like,
it
Yeah.
does.
What will his kingdom do without their king?
Yeah, you're right, Redo.
Ah, that's
If
okay. They'll
everyone
just
sticks together, we can solve
do it
anything
like in
that
Sword in the
comes our
Stone. They'll
way.
have a tournament to decide
Don't you
who the
think,
new king
Frederick?
is.
Yes.
Or
Sorry,
maybe we
what did you
could
say?
you'd form a
gonna be
democracy,
helping
an
us too,
oligarchy,
aren't ya?
maybe?
And
Basically,
this is
in
before
turn-
democracy was invented.
In
Of
turn,
course he
this
will.
is
There's no way you're
reflecting
getting
on
out of it
Chopin
that
to
easy.
give him, well, hope to do
After
some
all,
stuff
you're
that
just as much
whatever
a part of this
happens
world as we
after
are.
this dream.
I'm gonna hold you to
Okay, it's
You
nice
gotta
that
take
Allegretto's acting
responsibility for
nicer
your
to
own
Frederick,
world.
but we're kind of missing some development here because the last scene involving Allegretto and Frederick was him acting disgruntled at fortune teller lady telling him it didn't matter whether or not he went with them.
Well, Allegretto, yes, but with Frederick, remember, the fortune teller thought first she knew him, and second, she considers him an exception or something.
I'm not critiquing Frederick's development, and Frederick, by default, has had the most development, of course. I'm talking more so about Allegretto's interaction with him.
For Allegretto Jova, it's more on a meta level, in a sense that since you're controlling him from early in the game kind of tricks you into thinking that he's the real protagonist because he's the classic youth in a JRPG with a sword and everything, but he's not. He's supposed to be a supporting character. So that's also why a lot of time he acts this cocky as if he was the protagonist.
Oh, so he's supposed to be the Lancer to Frederick's leader. It's kind of a shame that, I hate to say it, I feel that the game has done a better job showing Allegretto as a more capable leader than Frederick. You know, I mean...
Yes and no. I would argue partially in a sense that Frederick's problem is that for a lot of time he's extremely passive. He doesn't take decisions. He just cooperates with the party. Only a couple of times he only gives his input because he's too busy handling. He's concerned about what is reality and what is not. While Allegretto instead is the opposite. He's more harsh. He's very impulsive. He tries to take the decisions, even though sometimes they're not the best one for the party, and so on.
Don't get me wrong, that's fine and all. I feel like, well, Frederick has a few other things working against him because, if I'm to be honest, it feels like, you know, it feels like he has less playable screen time than a lot of these other characters. Like, okay, I don't have the exact stats, but I definitely feel like we've had more parts where we're in Allegretto's group than we are in with a group with Frederick here and there, because he's off doing his thing more often than not. Heck, we don't even get to see him actually compose his thing on screen. Look, I'm not saying that Frederick is messed up as a character. What I'm saying is, like, well, I feel like this game wanted to portray him as the main character, and, you know, for all intents and purposes, he still is. But in terms of who we've actually gotten to know, he does not feel like the main character. And
I honestly think Jova, in terms of that, Jova, there is no clear main product. Yes, Frederick is supposed to be the focus because of the dream thing, but I honestly think it's a more situation similar to Final Fantasy VI, where despite you having the most focus out of Terra, you don't really have a clear protagonist.
I'm actually gonna
hold on.
This is gonna take teamwork.
Now the game basically lampshades about the palette swap.
But Salsa, don't you think that last enemy we faced looked familiar?
I mean, aren't we palette swaps of each other when you get down to it too? Whoa,
strange,
meta.
so I took a closer look. Here, you see, the texture of its hide is
Also, what was up with the lighting there?
Don't know.
Why would I care about something
Yeah,
like that?
flickers.
Honestly, sometimes I don't know what to do about you.
That's interesting. You're quite passionate about research, aren't you, March?
Yes,
I
want to learn
guess so.
all I can about woodland plants and animals. It will help me do a good job protecting a go-go forest. You don't need to know that stuff. If anyone tries something in
Get it? Because she's more brawny than brainy.
Okay, I appreciate them fleshing out the characters, but a lot of these scenes feel like scenes that we should have had prior. I mean, again, they're
Remember, this stuff wasn't in the Xbox 360 version.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, you're definitely right, Pedro. Hideo Baba was really trying to muster in as much as he could.
Well, there's a thing, Joe. When you arrive when you arrive and become the head of the Tale Studio, and you see this project that's like 90% complete, like at this point, okay, let's see what we can muster at least.
The best way to describe it is like, well, they definitely do feel like honest, valiant efforts to improve stuff. The problem is, again, either the placement and too little too late.
And lack of time to properly think things over.
Pretty much.
Again, I'm honestly thinking if the devs had much more time to work on it, it could have turned out even a somewhat decent.
Oh, I agree.
Level.
What do you think, Shirai?
Things you'd like to do in the future.
All these characters will die, I guess.
Right?
Nah, I don't think Shirai hates the character.
I was joking.
Actually,
You there, Shirai?
that this journey will most likely be my last.
I guess she's verbed. Whatever.
Wait, what? I'm here.
Oh,
Oh,
there you
well,
go.
I
Can we
was
just ask
asking
you a
you.
question?
I was listening to the dialogue.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. All right.
Know what you are.
Well, okay, what do you think of what Jova was saying, if in case you
Salsa,
heard him?
please.
I didn't
You're
hear
being
him.
terribly rude to
Jova,
Frederick.
repeat, please.
Basic-
Jova, please.
Basically, Shuri,
That's 'cause I'm trying to be rude.
I feel like, well,
When
these
others
are
talk like that, I've
these
got
are
no
fine
choice
enough
but to
character
tell
moments.
me
The
what
problem is like, well,
happens
these feel
really
like just mere components, and
When
components
one
we should have
becomes to an
gotten
end, something
way
else
earlier in the
starts up
game.
right
Like, this feels like the characters are
That's what
starting
they
to
call the
develop,
natural
and that's
order
not to
of
say that we
things.
haven't seen them develop before. But a lot of these dialogue bits feel like
Please
this is
excuse
the
her
turning
behavior,
point for
Frederick.
their characters, as
However,
in it's the first
even though she
phase
could
turning
have put
point.
it a little more delicately,
What are your
I
thoughts?
disagree considering, you know, what they're actually talking about here. This
Now
is
that
kind of an
that's settled,
appropriate
let's go.
conversation that they're having for, you know, nearing the end of their journey.
What doing
What I would
with the
When
future,
one thing
yeah.
comes
Yeah,
to
what
an
I
end,
would say is
something
we
else
needed
begins.
more of this throughout. Like what they're
Yeah.
discussing here is appropriate for this specific point in the story, but we needed more before this
That's
in other
agreeable,
Anyway.
too.
circumstances.
With this boss done, the sand flows also from the other tower, meaning that the path is complete.
All right, time to finally face Waltz.
And Jova, basically, like I mentioned in the previous part, you will get your other chance to properly judge to see if they manage to improve him a bit as a builder.
I mean, okay, from what you told me about how he was in the 360 version, I guess mission
He was,
accomplished already.
it can be the anti-climax boss on a narrative standpoint, basically. Anyway, there you go. You get to this teleporter, which teleports into basically an oval way. We'll get to see it in a second.
Oh, up we go then.
There you go. Like,
Oh,
all these games were had to end in fucking hallways.
Well, to be fair too, I mean,
I know it's
do we really need an open world dungeon in this part at this point in the game?
No. What I mean is that for the sake of theatrics,
It could just be a door, you know, do we really need the hallway?
yeah, for example, we could have been teleported close to the door, like that.
I guess.
it's like
Now you
it's the
gotta walk
villain's
through the
way of
pretty
going,
hallway.
I mean,
are you
well,
sure
in,
you want to fight me?
You know what's
I know,
interesting?
I know that the first Ninokuni also does like that with the Shadar's castle.
Not
With
just
the
Ninokuni, plenty of JRPGs do this.
Mhm. Hold on, there you go, Jova. You're about to get. Basically, in the Xbox 360, there's just the monster, and you get a very small cutscene where the party is like, "Let's go," because the monster just roars. Instead, Waltz is now sitting on a throne, and is about to lecture the entire party one by one.
Did he create this phone?
All right, now each one.
We don't want to be understood by you. So listen, you better be ready, because you're not getting away again.
Falsetto, you might want to try a different.
Oh,
voice.
really? I'm not getting away. Why would I need to run away from you?
You ran away
Well,
from a
I
bunch
have
of glowing
incredible power
balls.
at my
He's
disposal.
pretending to
You're
not
the ones who should
remember
be
that.
trying to run. Wouldn't you agree,
That didn't happen.
Legato?
Damn it, this is bad. He's already adapted to his new body.
The way he roars suggests
Of
that.
course, I have no
Because he
intention of
responded
allowing
to
you
a
get
command.
away.
Like that.
Count
But
Waltz,
he
why?
already responded
Why
to
do
the
you have to
command
do
the
things
first
like
Or
time.
instinctively.
Like the mineral powder. It's so
Sure, let's run with
dangerous.
that.
How could you actually let
Hold
the
on.
people afford
There you
to
go,
use
first
something
polka.
so terrible?
Because he's insane, because he's
Terrible.
evil, because
Why,
he's trying to
whatever
win a
do you
war.
mean? It was entirely
How about
for
all
the
of the
sake
above?
of my subjects that I developed the most
My point,
effective
exactly.
medicine.
Totally.
But you must know that a go-go forest is suffering. That's right. I ended up getting thrown in a jail cell so you could hide that.
Well, these things do happen. The fact of the matter is, we cannot achieve widespread happiness without a little sacrifice.
That's dodging the
Wait.
question, but
But if your people keep taking the mineral powder, they'll get magical abilities, and then they're gonna end up dying.
Why should that matter? The powder heals illness, does it not? And nothing in this world comes without a price.
You only wish you were
It
dead.
heals illnesses, but it will kill them. You know?
basically Waltz is saying, "Oh, I just gave the warnings. It's the people's fault for doing this."
What, did
That's
you,
very
like,
responsible for a politician.
That's not true, and you know it. They keep using the mineral powder because they don't know about the side effects.
Haven't you ever heard that ignorance is a sin? We never once said anything about the mineral powder being harmless, did we? And to be honest with you, I'm tired of catering to a public so idiotic as to believe every little thing those in
Oh, hey,
power
Crescendo and
tell them.
Serenade.
Yeah, the camera angle was
We had
intentional
enough
on
of your
that.
stonewalling. The only thing that you wanted was to build an army of super soldiers.
How are you supposed to accomplish that by
It's
retreating
not
into
really
the slum anyway?
We want it
An
back.
army of super
Give
soldiers?
back the
What
beautiful
is
Yeah,
that?
we
mountains.
mentioned that
Give back
multiple
the
times.
Well,
Yeah.
I know, but the way she phrased that,
Yes, Andantino.
like,
With
it's
the
not,
way you
it's
try
like
to
she's
influence
accusing him of
people,
being a
you're really not so
1960s
different
comic
from
book
us.
scientist.
Guys, you and I are
You
not
knew
so
you needed
different.
power to defeat me, so in
Yes.
order to achieve
You
your
and I are
goal,
not so
betrayed
different.
your own country.
Actually, no, everything
How
about
did
us is
they
different.
betray their own?
You're
Oh, right,
wrong.
they're
We're
from.
nothing
Hold
like
on.
you. We're trying to save the people of Forte, who are suffering from your mineral powder. Of course we wanted the power to stop you.
You know, it's
You
really
were willing
ironic
to
that DC
sacrifice your
Douglas
own
is voicing
subjects.
Jazz for this,
Forget about betraying
considering
I
what
know.
a
You were
certain
trying
other
to
character
destroy
is.
Complete
Does.
global
Let's dispense with all
saturation.
the grandstanding, shall we? Be honest with yourself, fearless leader of Andantino. You only want revenge.
No,
Vengeance?
please,
wrong.
let's
That
not
has nothing
launch
to do
another
with it.
backstory here.
Oh, I'm not
No,
wrong.
no.
The only thing you're seeking here is retribution.
So he's just
Payback for your
BSing.
friends who died in that rebellion.
Yeah, basically
And
Waltz is
yes,
keeping
let's
dodging the
not
question,
forget
pretending that
Cloud
he's in
Waves.
the right. But don't worry,
The
it
only
gets even
difference
better.
between
Oh,
us
we're
is
bringing
the
up
self-righteous
Clave.
sense of justice you have. Actually, you're a lot worse than I am.
With all this power,
Okay,
you've
that's
managed to
enough. It's
Time
time
for
we beat him
Frederick.
up.
What
Sad.
exactly is it you were hoping to achieve?
Good question.
Now that really is a silly question. I wanted
Oh.
power for the sake of having it.
Of course.
With enough power,
At least
I can
he's
make
honest.
not only Forte and Baroque, but the whole world bow down before me. Only then will I
So
feel truly
basically, this is all because you're bored.
So
That's
It's
not
because
like
he has a
a-
massive ego.
Possibly
let me
make you
guess.
feel
It turns
more
out Forte
alive.
represents a certain psyche
sorry,
of
do you
Frederick's, and he's
disapprove?
trying to take over.
Hold
or
on,
something.
I'm getting
Share
to
with us
that,
your life's
Joe.
purpose.
In the boss battle mention.
Me? I only want the chance to do something to help everyone. And I don't have very much time left to live, so I have to use it wisely.
You poor thing. You're the one who uses magic, aren't you? Don't fret, dear. You're not alone. In fact, all human beings are fragile. Especially those who lack power. They die quite easily. And when you die, it's over. There's just no meaning to it.
Ah.
Is that really what you think? That death is so completely meaningless.
When you die, you disappear, and eventually
Oh, I
Nothing
think
of
I'm
you
starting to get
remains.
what's going on here.
Humans are so unfeeling that way. That's why I must have power. Enough absolute power to carve my existence
The
into
ultimate
half.
egotistical ideal.
So this is he had the ultimate existential
Oh, I get it
crisis,
now.
and it's
So that's
resulted
what
in
this
this.
is all about, huh?
Yeah.
You know, he's beyond getting.
Hold on.
He's beyond
pretty
getting late to
pathetic,
be
actually.
saved.
The thing you want most out of life is something you can only
I
get
agree.
after you're already dead.
About
A
that.
legacy.
Burst your bubble like this, but if you just live a normal, caring life, you're bound to be remembered by somebody.
I wish it were that easy.
Such a fool. I don't care about vague, fleeting
Oh,
memories. You see, what I want is
Yeah, you'll
to
be remembered,
adored
but
and
you'll
admired
be
for
hated
eternity.
Yeah.
by everyone.
I don't think he cares about that detail.
He just wants to be adored and
There really
admired
is
for
just no getting
eternity.
through to you, is there, pal? Let me
No.
educate you. Nothing, absolutely nothing lasts forever. That's why, for the
Let's just
short
say Sonic
time
and the
we're
Black
here,
Knight did this better and
we
move
gotta
on.
try to make
Okay,
things
Yeah.
I will say this: the characters each telling Waltz
Putting
off in their
everything
own
you've
ways
got
is
into
nice and
whatever
all.
it is you do,
I guess the
that's
only
what
thing
life
is
is
like,
all
well,
about.
it kind of falls flat because Waltz is pretty much
Like a
insane. He
touching
doesn't care.
speech. If you feel so strongly
I
about
think he
it,
just
why
loves
don't you
himself
show
too
me
much.
everything
Yeah.
you've
Yep.
got? That way I can be sure I'm erasing it all from this world. Your pathetic existence, your memories, your meaning, everything.
And now boss fight. Alright, let me explain this, Jova. Around the last years of his life, there were kind of some rumors about Chopin
The time has come at
of
last.
being much more of a dick than he used to be. Like, he already had kind of like a troubled life, but in recent years he had become a bit more stressful, angrier, tend to angry. people reported that one of the reasons why he wanted to keep composing like that was that it would have to be remembered by history itself. So that's what the game tried to do here. Waltz is essentially Chopin's own kind of dark side, amplified, that wants to carve his existence into history no matter what the circumstances may be.
Now, I appreciate that idea, and okay, by the end, it does come clear. There's a few issues I have with it. First off, yeah, we weren't really built up to this at all. Like, Waltz is pretty much just your typical dictator up until this point. And it is kind of
he says you're too slow.
Lion.
O'Brien saying you're too slow. Sonic Team, you had the perfect chance and you squandered it.
Oh,
Shame on you.
Well, to be fair, Sonic does pretty much beat Zaz easily.
Also, might as well explain a bit for the boss fight itself. The fallen body of Legato is piece easy because he's low and a gigantic target. But thanks to Waltz also participating in the fight, this becomes 10 times hard because Waltz again is super fast and super strong. So you need to focus on 2 targets and to avoid the damage that Waltz can give to you. So basically the best strategy is deal with Waltz first and then the ruined body after.
Alright, you dealt with the ruined body first.
Well, just because I managed to position my allies better and they had the boosted stats anyway.
And hey, it's better for a thematic ending anyway. But yeah, back to the thing with Waltz. His character, okay, at this very point, his character does make sense. Again, the issue is like, well, okay, what does this mean in the grand scheme of the setting? Like, sure, yes, everything mentally here is falling apart, but the characters aren't that well aware of it. So, as far as Waltz knows, what exactly is he talking about being remembered for eternity? Does he mean across the world, which pretty much looks like it's gonna be destroyed anyway? It just gets a bit confusing at that point.
Egotistical people never think their shit through, not until it's too late.
He's still not dead.
Let me guess, we're gonna convince him to be our friends because he was going about it the wrong way.
No, Jova, we're not doing that.
I will never accept defeat.
What else you got?
He's got something, otherwise he wouldn't be laughing like an idiot.
Or maybe he's just laughing to hide the denial.
That's what I should have done from the very
Let me guess, go back to the very beginning of the plot and do some time
if
travel
someone
stuff?
could just hit him right now while he's having this spiel.
Well, think about it, Jova. Like he said, if the world doesn't submit to him, what chance also does he have?
Oh, so now he's gonna try destroying the world. I thought that's what he already was trying to do.
What are you doing?
Submit.
Legato!
What do you hope to?
These are going to be your final orders. Tear it apart.
He can just do that? He's that freaking powerful?
Remember, he can open portals as well, so... In the Xbox 360 version, basically, after you beat the ruined body, it does that automatically. So,
and is Waltz finally dead?
Yes. However, also the fallen body of Legato is dead. However, something else appeared, a portal.
Another portal.
Wait, so there's another dungeon to do?
No, that leads to the ending of the game, and we acquired the Hero's Quest, which is the key for this for the optional dungeon, which we'll tackle in the next part, actually.
The one where we rescue Claves?
Yes.
Wait, hold on. So we get to rescue Claves after we've dealt with the final boss.
Yes.
What's the point?
For the other final dungeon, well, the other optional dungeon, for example, that you can do with the PS3 in the PS3 version.
Yeah.
Plus, we can't just leave him there.
It's technically optional, Shiroi, so we could technically leave Claves dead. But whatever.
But that would be a very shitty thing to do.
See you for that in the next part.
See ya.
See ya.
Alright then.
Alright, I'll BRB quickly. I'm already ready on the part. I'll just...
Sure. In the meantime,
Yeah,
I'll see if Deji is still around.
Also, sorry about that last part. I was paying attention to the cutscene, so everything else just drowned out.
Sure.
That's
I legit just didn't hear anything that was going on while the cutscene was, so...
Also, I guess I'll check with Pixie since this is within that time length she said she's available for.
I guess I'll ask her if she wants to come in.
I'll be right back.
I guess.